A Better We podcast. I think of strangers who magically become friends, live, on camera, and off camera.
For a community of friends, like-minded people who are open and here to share ideas about how we can be better as a people as a whole.
And give a safe place for
if anybody is looking for a podcast, I love it. It's inspirational, it's ingenious, and it unifies us as a whole, as people. Better me equals a better we.
A better me equals a better we.
All right, y'all, welcome back to another episode of the A Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. I am your host, Trey. Super excited to be back with you guys once again. This week's episode number 29. Compatibility, right? I know we did compatibility last week, but I heard a lot of reviews about last week's episode, and not that it wasn't good, but it was like, wait, we need to do this again. Last one should have been longer. Why you stop so early, right? So now we bringing it back to back for the people that didn't get the message, and I brought some different opinions just to broaden the spectrum, give different opinions on this topic, and just dive a little bit deeper into it. So we're going to cover some of the same things, a lot of different things concerning this topic. So without further ado, I'm going to go across the board because I brought some people with me to help talk about this. So Dominique, can you introduce yourself for our viewers and tell them just a little bit about yourself?
Yes, Dominique, not a new face to the podcast. However, it's always good to be here. I'm super excited about what we're about to jump into, what we're about to talk about. I am a Brooklyn native. I always place that somewhere in my bio. And I'm just excited to be here with my husband and Latoya and anybody else that will join in now or later on, just to talk about something that I feel like is just real good combo. So let's go.
Right, definitely. And speaking of your husband, Tim, why don't you introduce yourself for our viewers and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so Tim Jones here. I'm Dominique's husband, and I'm neither am I a stranger to the podcast. Glad to be here with my brother Trey Quan. Glad to be here with my sister, meeting a new face. And I know this is going to be a topic people are going to want to hear tonight. I'm already laughing, but I'm excited about it.
All right, here we go. And Toya or Latoya, why don't you introduce yourself for our viewers and tell them a little bit about yourself?
I mean, you just did. So, hi
Yeah,
guys.
right.
My name is Toya. My husband couldn't make it as of yet, but he's coming. This is my first podcast, but I've watched all of them. But this is my first time actually interacting with it, and I'm so excited because Trey is nothing but my little brother, and I'm just excited to see how the outcome comes. And I'm happy that he had to do a part two.
Right, because you had to jump in it after last week's episode. Latoya was like, wait, what's going on? Like, I need to be a part of this. Like, y'all got to do a part two. If you do a part two, put me on, right? So that's exactly what I did, and I got her on, and now we're going back to back, right? Before we jump right in, right? You guys see my lovely sweater. This is actually one of my favorites. Our website for the apparel me live, right? So a better we apparel.com is live. You can get your sweater just like this, right? And a bunch of other things that you guys can go check out at your leisure. There's a bunch of stuff on there. It's easy to use. It's mobile friendly, so you can do it from your phone. And it's also on Facebook, right? So if you want to go to Facebook, you can't remember the .com, go on Facebook. We have a Facebook shop that will direct you to the website. You can shop till you drop. All right. So getting into this topic, right?
Before we
Compatibility.
even get into the topic, like I saw Dominique, she's already like, I'm from Brooklyn, and then she did the hands. I'm like, okay, we're compatible. Like, let's go. We don't
Right.
need
Period.
them.
Period.
We don't need them.
Listen, y'all already making connections, right? Y'all already
Yes,
making
clearly.
connections. And it's a New York thing, right? It's a New York thing. You can tell who from New York, right? We just connect with each
Right.
other no matter where we at, where people from New York is gonna find each other, right? So now talking about compatibility, right? One of the things in the video that I referenced in part one, the guy talked about a type, right? Like how sometimes or not just a type, but a preference, right? How people would say like, yo, I want my woman to look like this, I want my man to look like this, right? But he also said that sometimes what you like can be wrapped around, and he used the reference or the analogy of a demon, right? So your type, your a demon could be gift wrapped as your type, or a bad situation can be gift wrapped as your type, and ultimately be a trap, right? So, do you think that like a type or your type could be a trap?
Do you believe that your type can be a trap? I mean, yeah. So, of course. So, number one, anything that you like can be set up as a trap, right? Because it's kind of like it's out there, you know what you like. I believe that the devil is definitely real. I don't think that he have all power and a whole bunch of power, but I
Right,
do believe that he is able to kind of tempt us and entice us through what we like. So
right,
clearly, what I like can sometimes be set up as a trap. Like,
right,
girl, you like that, but you can't really see the inside, but you like what it looked like.
right,
It
right, right,
appears to be. So yeah, I think that it can definitely be a trap at times.
right.
Sometimes
So,
the trap is
so,
good, sometimes it's not.
so I'm gonna throw this question out there, right? I'm gonna throw this
Throw
question
it.
out
I'm a
there
cat.
to either one of y'all, right? We're gonna get a little bit. We're gonna dive in personally, right? Have you ever, either one of y'all can answer, or both of y'all can answer, have you ever experienced the trap? Have you ever got caught in the bed trap?
Hey,
Right? Like tall, dark, handsome with dreads or whatever your type is, right? Like he was sitting in the bed trap and you got caught. Like have you guys ever experienced that? And
Ooh,
what was that like?
ooh.
It was like a trap. You ever seen a mouse? They're like meow meow. Like that's what it
Really?
was. Like, hello, it's a whole trap. Like you
Oh,
go in
trap.
thinking that you're gonna get some cheese, and the cheese ain't there. It's nothing but peanut butter and a whole trap. Like, yeah, it hurt. That hurts.
Mm,
Yeah,
Just
mm,
yeah.
saying.
mm, mm.
Just saying.
It's a trap. That's it. That's
That-
all you can say. Like, it's a
that's
trap.
how it feels.
That's it.
So does it make you question, right? Because a lot of things happen in our younger days, like as we're growing up, we're experiencing things, and when you experience something one time, like how they tell you when your kid touch the fire and they see it's hot, and it's like, oh, I won't do that again, right? So now
Mhm.
when you do stuff like that and you experience this trap, we thought it was cheese on there, but it's peanut butter, right? Does it affect the way that you go out, and does it make you like reevaluate what your type actually is?
It does. Honestly, it does, because I can honestly say that it does affect you, because you sat there and got trapped with something that was peanut butter, which wasn't cheese, and you're not making no ham and peanut butter sandwich. Like, it don't work. Like,
Mhm.
so now you're sitting out there putting yourself out there for somebody, and now everybody that come along, your rules is on point. Like, no, saw that, and now it kind of affect the way you go into your next relationship, because you already been dealt with somebody that wasn't who they were in the beginning. And
Right, right. Definitely, definitely. And I can definitely see how that can be traumatic. And then ultimately, you bring stuff from, let's say, one situation or relationship into the next one, and then now you treating this person like he peanut butter or like she's peanut butter and she really cheese, right?
mm-hmm.
So now when we look at these things now, even as men, right? Like men, that it's a we're really visual, right? So we look at a woman and we like, oh, she looked like this, and I like this, and in the same way that they say don't judge a book by its cover in a negative way, I think it goes the same way even in a positive way, right? Like all right, you look nice, but what's on the inside of this book, right? And then now we have to look at like, okay, what do I want in life, right? So now, Dominique, like when you're doing the reevaluation, right, or when you were at the point where you saying I'm reevaluating what I want, do you now look at it not just by your type, but based off of like what you want in life?
I think that I think growing up and maturing, you still look at your type, but you kind of mix it in with things that you know maybe weren't on the list before.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're younger, you know it's different. Like I always tell people, you know, if you are a single mom, you know, your list when you become a single mom is going to be completely different than when you were before. Like before you was a mom, you probably was just looking at how he looked, if he could, you know, if he could make sure you good, if y'all could travel together. Like you're probably looking at that. But then life happens and you have this
Yeah.
child, and now you're looking at, okay, is he patient with a child? Like, is he ready to lead me and my like there's a lot of different things. So I think growing up for me, I think as life started to hit and as my priorities and as I started to change, I wanted to make sure that I found someone that was suitable for those changes.
Right.
So I think that my evaluation is not necessarily that I just completely forgo the type, because you have a type. Like you can't help but what you are attracted to. If you like chocolate ice cream, you like chocolate ice cream. Like it is what it is. But you may, you may want a little sprinkle here and there. You may want some Oreos over there. You may want some, I think that we just kind of have to bring in and not only look at that type list that you may have had when you were in high school or even college. It starts to build and sometimes turns into a lot more mature of a list
Right.
as you start to get other priorities. So I think that
Right.
as my priorities came in, I made sure I put them into my type
Yeah.
versus just my type.
Definitely, definitely. And I really like the idea of your type or your idea of something expanding, right? Because we got to leave room to grow. We have to, like, we can't say, okay, well, this is how I feel, this is how I think, this is what it is, right? We got to have room to grow. And I think that that's one of the things that even with younger men and women, being able to teach that to them, talk to them about that, like that their type may not always be their type. They may have to, they may encounter certain things that
I
force them to
mean,
grow.
not
That
to like interrupt, but my husband actually joined us. Everybody say hi to Mr. Xavier.
right.
Hey.
Hey,
What's going
Xavier
on, brother?
just home from the job. How's it going, man?
I'm good, man. I had to go back though. I just came to really say hi.
Oh Lord.
Look,
Yeah,
listen.
I
You
work.
know
You
what it
know, I
is?
gotta go
This,
back.
this, but look, this that moment in the podcast when somebody say when you proud about your husband and you need the world to see. Like I just need to
Period.
introduce him right quick, right? I just need to introduce him to the world, right? Real quick. I'm really married. He really at work, y'all. Like,
I think so.
listen, look, we're gonna get to that part too, right? So now when we look at our list growing, right? How important is it, Tim, like as things happen for us in life and maybe what we thought was our type or what we thought we wanted in somebody changes over time? How important is it that we teach like the younger generation that like change is okay and you got to be open to the idea or what you thought changing and building on top of that?
Well, me,
Great question.
honestly, I'm going to sound a little bit different than what everybody else thinks, but I think that growing, I think that the first impression that you give, whether young or old, is the most important impression. So it's like if you could be what I wanted when I first thought that I wanted that, we can mold and make everything else work around us. Like I don't really see it as, oh my God, like we need to be this way at this time because this is what I want. No, like, all right, I saw those little things you were doing, those little things that I love, those little things that I was attracted to, whether it was nice, whether it was good. I feel like you're never going to be 100% compatible with the person that you're with. And that's just that. Get that out your mind. That's
That's the
just
Yep,
it.
truth.
that's right.
You're never gonna
That's the
be
truth.
100% compatible. You're never gonna be that person that's like, oh my God, babe, I love going to bed with you. No, that is not gonna happen. You're going to have differences. And then it's like, are we compatible enough that like I don't hit you and you don't hit me back? Like, are we compatible enough that we don't fight as much as we need to fight? Like that's a compatibility. Also, when it's bad, when it's good, that is you're still being compatible because it's like, all right, I talk too much. Let me shut up now.
Oh yeah, that's
I
me.
know her, and that's
That's
pretty
me.
much the definition of compatibility is
Now
knowing
look,
someone and getting along and connecting in a way that you're not connecting with anybody, another individual in this universe.
so
That's
look,
what matters.
so now I got a question, right? That just made me think of something for Tim and Dominique, right? Tim, you guys have been married 10 or close to 10 years now.
Like
Like
12.
Yeah.
how is it, or not how is it, how do you feel about the thought of like not being 100% compatible, right, and being able to work towards that? So with the ideology that okay, we're never going to be 100%, the same, or 100% on the
Hmm.
same page, what is there now to strive for? What keeps somebody together when you're not 100% or that fairy tale compatible?
I
Can
mean,
you guys hear me fine? You guys can hear me?
Huh?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
my wife's texting me the entire time. I, the reason I had technical issues because Dominique was texting me while I'm on my iPad and it was messing me up. So I had to tell her to take my regular phone. But no, but no, yeah. So I think there we go. No, but I think one of the key things try to go back into serious mode, right? Is that I always say I was telling Dominique this. I said, Domo, I told her this right before we got on it. I said we are compatible and we couldn't be any more different. Um, I think that is a lot of times in general wanting to be compatible sometimes can come out of a place of selfishness because you want a person really to be like you are
Right.
Right.
and like everything you like. So it's all about what interests you.
Hmm.
Right.
When that happens, you can't really walk in a level of unconditional love like, and I'm a Christian, so I'm gonna talk like this. A level of unconditional love like Jesus commends us, right? And the reason I bring that up is because if you want to walk in unconditional love with your spouse, you're going to need to be able to love them through the conditions that they're in, right? And sometimes that's gonna look like you're incompatible because there's gonna be so many differences.
Hmm.
So I think the burden gets a lot easier to carry with younger couples or newer couples when they hear that y'all not gonna be alike, y'all not gonna agree on everything, y'all not gonna like everything, y'all probably gonna be a lot more different than you are alike. And that's what's gonna keep y'all a marriage or keep your marriage strong is the fact that you have those differences. And all differences aren't bad. In fact, most of your differences won't be bad. They're going to be good differences, and
Right.
they're going to kind of even out, balance you all out in the long run.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that was kind of like similar to what Toya said. Like it that you guys are not always gonna be the same thing, but do you guys even each other out, right? And I
yeah.
think sometimes compatibility might not be all right. We love all the same shows. We
Right.
going to all the same places. We like doing all the same things. We just everywhere together at all
All the same
times.
shows.
It might be all right. I like
Nope.
to clean the bathroom. You like to clean the kitchen. Like, and now we just kind of we put it together, right? So now when, and I think you guys kind of answered this, right? But I'll ask this question to you guys, to the roses, right? um when people talk about compatibility and they talk about all of these things, like okay, do we do all this together? Do they check all of these boxes? Is the thought of compatibility enough to sustain a relationship, or is there a little or is there a little bit more? Like, is it bigger than just are we compatible?
Um, No, that's not enough to sustain the marriage. And I've been married for 12 years, and it's not enough to sustain the marriage. I think that what sustains a marriage is 100% being yourself. You need to one be yourself, because if you're not yourself, you are going to be an illusion to this man or this woman, and you're going to be what they want you to be or what you think that they like. And then 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line, somebody's going to resent each other, and
Lord.
it's going to end very bad, because it's like, ugh, but it's like, no. Being yourself is the first compatibility that you need in life. Be
Right.
compatible with yourself. Know what you want. Know what it is that you want, what you want to take out of it, what you've been through in your past, what you learned, what you endured, what you'll accept, what you won't, what you'll giggle about,
Yeah.
what you'll laugh about, what you'll argue about, you'll stand tall about. Know yourself. Be compatible with yourself first. You can't be compatible with anybody in this world unless you're compatible with yourself. Unless you know what you want, you can't expect for somebody to honestly know what how compatible you guys are together, because you don't even know yourself. Like, you
Yeah.
don't even know. It's times where you're like, no, but I like pink. I hate pink. No, but I really like goat meat. Oh my god, I hate meat. Like, you have to know yourself in order to make any marriage work. And that's just from the jump, which in 9 times out of 10 is never gonna happen.
Right.
The most longest marriages with longevity, it does not happen that way. It's always one person that is doing extra to make another person happy, and acting like they love. And I can pass that table on to my husband. Like, he was like, I love Lifetime and I love Investigation Discovery. I love those channels. And then it's like a year in, and I'm like, wait, why are we watching Wonder Woman? And then he's like, oh my god, I like, but you didn't say that. Like, now I'm lost. Like, you didn't say that. Like, I fell in love with Lifetime and Investigation. Like, why are we watching Wonder Woman?
But I still watched it though. I do. I still do it.
But
I
see,
just
that
don't
goes to
like it
go.
that much, but
That
I
goes to
watch
say.
it.
I'm
So it's like,
telling you.
you have to like sit there and like know each other. You have to like, in order to be
And
compatible,
you know
you
what's the
have to
funny
know
part?
what you like.
You never even watch my movies or my shows.
Because I
I
said it
don't.
from the beginning, I
But I
didn't like
watch
it.
your shows. I
This ain't
do.
nothing but a,
Because I
this
know
ain't
if I
nothing but a
don't,
Because
marriage
I was
couple.
real.
I know if I
Listen,
don't
right?
do it,
Listen,
if I
look,
yo, if I don't do it, it's over.
look.
I have to watch it. Like, I have to sit there and really watching the like if I don't do it, it's just all messed up.
Look.
No, like,
I'm gonna get it. I'll
This
get
is
it.
what real I just want to let y'all know this is what real married nights look like.
Absolutely.
Not the TV version, not the scripted version. This is
Absolutely.
what
No,
real
man,
married nights
Trey.
look like.
Trey.
trust me, Trey knows.
Trey,
I'll
your
call him
sister,
like, oh,
Trey,
I'm watching my movie by
Trey,
myself.
yo, Trey, your sister's, yo, she's crazy. How you want me to watch your movies and you don't want to watch mine? Oh, I don't like no Iron Man. I don't like no what?
So
No,
now
I
look,
am. But you know what?
watch this from which I just said, right? And I think that one of the key takeaways from what you just said is be yourself, right? How can I know if we're compatible if I don't know who you are? Or you, on the flip side, you
Exactly.
decide to be somebody else and then you don't know who you are. Like, you lose
Oh
yourself
yeah.
because
Exactly.
you don't know who you are, right? So what that means is when Tim and Dominique get together, right? She need to know that when basketball season comes, don't sit
Hello?
and watch this game with me. And then all of a sudden, 2 years down the line, you like, oh well, Dancing with the Stars is on. Why we got to watch this stupid game? Like, wait a minute, man. This game wasn't stupid 2 years ago, right? Because how can you
I'm coming
gauge
right
if
now, baby.
they're really compatible,
I'm
right?
coming.
So,
Okay.
so
I'm
I'll
coming right
ask
now.
you guys, what's a do you guys
All
have
right.
a story similar to that? I want to ask the Joneses. Y'all got a story similar to that?
Every day is a is a story. And the Johnson, I came home and he hit me with, how we gonna do this? How we do? I said, well, my day was good. It was great. Had a great, amazing day. You're not gonna ask. It's just life, right?
So the couple, right?
The man.
So
Okay,
I
so
think that I think that for us, we have similar stories. I think there are certain things that I don't watch that he watches, and vice versa. There's certain things I don't like to eat that he likes to eat. He love cooked food, home cooked food. And I'm from New York. You know, we go down the street to the bodega, to the store, to the corner store, and we get whatever we want to get 24/7.
Right.
We don't gotta cook, you know.
Bacon, egg, and
It's
cheese
just
at 3 in the morning.
come on with ketchup. So,
No red sauce. No red
Man, let me
sauce.
say something right here.
Go
Let me
ahead.
respond to that. Let me respond to that. So, um, I'm from the South, right?
Mhm.
And it's a culture shock, even in America. When you go to the West Coast, when you go to Midwest, Chi-Town, Detroit, Milwaukee, when you go to the deep South like Texas, the Creole South, Louisiana. So I'm from North Florida, which is almost really just Georgia, right? Jacksonville, which is almost really just Southern Georgia. And so when I met Damo, I raved about my mama's cooking, right? My mama can cook. Matter of fact, Thursday coming, right? And so,
So wait. Where you from again?
when my mom,
Florida, he said.
huh?
Florida?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Like really, like your background, where you from? I want to know because of the cooking.
Jacksonville, Florida.
Because you're talking about cooking. So I want to know your background.
Oh, you from
Here
America?
we go. Yeah. I'm American. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Now I just wanted to know something because you're talking about good food.
So
Xavier's
what?
from Africa.
Oh, you from Africa?
Yep.
What part of Africa you from? What nation
I'm
of
from
Africa are
I'm
you
from the
from?
south too in Africa.
He's Angolian.
help
wait,
me.
wait. So South Africa? Are you from South Africa?
He
That's
is.
what's up.
He's
That's
That's
hilarious.
Angolian.
what's up.
He's
I,
Angolian,
I,
but his
Oh,
mom is from
dope.
Portugal.
I,
Cool. That's dope.
I
Yeah.
want to hear.
So
I want to hear about your mama cooking though.
yeah, no. So my mom makes something called sweet potato biscuits, and what she does is she makes a homemade biscuit,
Uh
and
huh.
she puts if you ever had sweet potato pie batter in the biscuit, and
Mm.
then she bakes it. Hello, and then
Yo, he's
listen.
the way he talking about it. I think he knows he's gonna get some on Thanksgiving, so he happy about it. So he want to talk about it.
So so when I met Dominique want to eat Popeye's chicken every weekend. I'm like, yo,
Hello?
we cannot be eating Popeye's chicken every week. We gotta have some food up
Yeah, I
here.
want some of that.
So
I want some of
so
that.
finally there was a
I want
compromise,
some of that.
right?
Uh
She
huh.
she was like, okay. She was like, I'm from New York and we eat out, and I go right here and the bodega and naming all speaking in all kind of tongues. But what happens is when she met me, I'm like, babe, I want um, I want us to have something home cooked. We were dating,
Yeah.
and y'all, Trey, Damo made me this chicken breast, right?
Why you always talking about this bad story?
And then she made it was some bell peppers on the plate that wasn't cooked. And so I said, oh, okay, what is this? And so she said, oh, this is chicken breast with a bell pepper salad.
Damo, that's me. Don't even feel bad.
Hello?
That's
You
me.
see how he tried me, bro? I was trying, man. I was trying.
You do not want to see my foo-foo.
Wait a minute, hold on. You telling me you cut up some bell peppers and call it salad? All
Bell
right.
peppers, they not
But let
cooked.
me tell y'all
So it's
something, man.
salad.
But this is what happens with growth in marriage through time.
You can get another juice. Go ahead.
Number one, I was love, so I was eating that nasty food. But through time, Damo throw down. Macaroni and cheese is better than my mama's macaroni and cheese, right?
You better hope
I
Mama
can
Jones
proudly
don't
say
hear
that.
this.
Oh, don't bring on here. I don't want to get cut. But I can honestly say through growth and through that showed me how much Damo loved me.
Mhm.
Because she didn't want to be in the kitchen, and to this day she don't like being in the kitchen. But she's amazing at cooking, and that's growing into being compatible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. Growing
Ooh,
into
but
Yeah.
guess
being
what? I got
compatible.
a question for the host. Do
What's
you
up?
feel like you
Mm.
could be compatible without being in love, or do you need love for compatibility?
Oh, why you
Ooh,
screaming?
That's a deep
good
question.
trade.
I
Good
actually have an
trade.
answer to
Good
that, but I want
trade.
to hear. I
Good
want to hear
trade.
you, Trayvon.
Uh,
I got to hear the bishop.
hold on, I gotta take my host hat off. Let me let me dust this off a little bit, right?
Okay.
I believe, in my personal opinion, I believe that compatibility, a certain level of compatibility, starts in love. And I believe that based on the season that you meet a person, then you can be in love before you're compatible. And that was one of the things that the gentleman that made the particular video, I believe his name, I want to say Jerry Flowers. He's a pastor. He did this video and he talked about compatibility, and he talked about people being connected by things. Let's say like it could be a certain situation, a certain season that they were both in, that they connected on. So you may not necessarily be compatible with that person, but in that particular season, you guys connected and you grew a love for this person, or a feeling of being in love with this person, that may not have been on compatibility, but it may have been on situation. But then there's also times where I believe that if things are done right, if we're doing all the things that we talked about as far as you guys being authentically yourself, right? Now I can really weigh out the pros and cons and say, okay, are we really compatible? And then once you guys figure that out and you say, okay, you know what? Where I lack, you pick up here. Where you lack, I pick up here. We like this. We have the same end goal, right? Because I also believe that life is not about levels, right? Life is about
Mhm.
lanes. So I can be at
Mhm.
this level, but you can't be at this level because we're not in the same lane. So like
Mhm.
if so for Tim, for an example, let's say myself and Tim, right? Like we're preachers, right? But for somebody, and we may be at a certain level in speaking, but let's say somebody's a customer service representative and you may be at a certain level there. I can teach you how I got here, but it's
Yep.
not going to get you to that same level there because we're in different lanes, right? But
Mhm.
now when we talk about marriages, right, we're two different lives becoming one. It doesn't mean that we merge into the same lane. It just means that we're two highways that meet at a certain intersection. So are we traveling parallel to each other in that direction? And I think once when we talk about compatibility, once we talk about do we work well together, I think a bigger question is, are we working towards the same direction, and are we going to meet at the same point even though we move in? So I think that love definitely plays a part in it. But I think depending on the situation, you can be in a situation where you can form love outside of compatibility. But I think that's personally, I believe it could be a recipe for disaster because there's a lot of work that
Of
has to be
course it's
done.
I think of course it's a recipe for a disaster because it's like if you got somebody merging left and somebody merging right, that's a crash.
Yeah.
Like I
Hey,
mean,
hey,
somebody gotta yield to the right or yield to the left. Like
right.
somebody gotta give in. Like
So
honestly.
look, now I got a question, right? I got a question for you, Dominique. Um,
Mhm.
when we talk about different situations, right, or even compatibility in general, we talk about all of us growing as people. We learn and grow every day, right?
Mhm.
Um, do you believe that with people constantly growing, do you believe that us or like a particular entity being compatible, do you believe that that can be season based? So we can be compatible for this season, but we may not be compatible for another season in our lives.
Hmm. Um, I mean, so yes, and I'm looking at the concept because the question that Latoya asked was a great question, which is, do you feel like love or being in love? Because you can be compatible with a business partner, you can be compatible with a friend, right? And then not have that romantic
Mhm.
side of love that we're talking about in marriage. So I
Right,
believe that compatibility is compatibility.
right.
I think that compatibility is more of being able to exist with one another without conflict. And conflict does not necessarily mean that you don't disagree, but it's kind of like that's what he said. Someone is yielding, meaning like no one is trying to win in this. We're just trying to get to that goal, and sometimes getting to that goal is let me pull back a little bit because we need to get to this goal, which
Mhm.
I think that happens in multiple things.
Right.
So I feel like, so for example, like I think about like a chef, and if they make a plate and they say, all right, we have this chicken and this wine is compatible with that chicken. Now they're absolutely not the same thing, right? That is
Right.
definitely a drink, that is definitely wine, and this is definitely chicken, but they're compatible because in their taste they work well together, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
in their flavors they work well together.
Hmm.
So I do feel that incompatibility, we have to look at the fact that yes, in time people change, and there are some people that in seasons they won't be compatible, and not because they can't be, but it's just because some people just choose not to change or not to mature, or maybe you grow a little bit this way, and you know, like you said, it's a different path sometimes. So I mean, me personally, I feel that you can't have seasons, but when you talk about marriage, to me that's a whole different thing. You can't for me, you can't ask me the question of are we compatible in this season, because I'm gonna make sure that we get to the end of this season and we get to all the other seasons, because that's the commitment that I'm choosing to make. That's the commitment that I'm choosing to have through my love, through my patience, through my whatever. I'm choosing to have that. So I think that there are seasons that it happens because divorce happens, friendships end, business deals fall short, right? So I think there are things that seasons can happen, but I think in marriage, the goal for a lot of us is to try to not necessarily have a conflict where someone is winning all the time, but actually everyone is being selfless at all times, so that we can all get to the same goal.
Mm,
Hmm. Okay. I'm
that's
with you on
good.
that one. So now here's a question, right? And I want to hear you guys in the comments. This is a question that I want everybody in the comments to answer. But I'm going to ask this question specifically to Tim, right? When we talk about compatibility, yeah, I'm gonna do it because you know what it is, Tim. You are someone. I know that you've counseled people, couples, things of that sort, right? Um, so I think that I really want to hear your insight on this particular question. When we talk about compatibility being season based, or it can be season based, right? And we're talking outside of a relationship, right? I mean, well, not a relationship, outside of a marriage, right? Because like Dominique said, when you get married to someone, are some things that you may do that are a little bit, I don't want to say extra, but that you wouldn't do for somebody that you were just in a relationship with, because y'all made the commitment to say, do better or do worse, like we gonna figure this out, right? But if I'm somebody that's
Yes,
just
sir.
in a relationship, right? Or maybe a couple that you've counseled, or a friend that you may have, right? Do you think that it's possible for somebody to be compatible with your rock bottom, right? Your season of
Mm,
dysfunction, your season of,
talk about it.
like I'm like we both have this particular habit. We both like something is connecting us, and we're compatible here. But when the other person grows, we might. So I'm not compatible with your season of success, but I'm compatible with your season of rock bottom.
Mm,
I
that's
get you.
good.
Um, yeah, so that's a great question. Because so here's the thing. When I think of compatibility, I think of harmony and unity. When I think of people that thrive in chaos, I don't think of compatibility. I think of confusion.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
When I think of a marriage, I don't like to use the word compatibility,
Mm-hmm.
but I like to use the word complementarity.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is
mm,
God saw that man was alone. That wasn't a good fit for man.
Mm-hmm.
So God makes a helper that is made suitable for him, not compatible. Now, what that meant, you see the word help, that means there's an inability somewhere. They lack somewhere. And when you see people like me and Dominique were at our lowest of lows, homelessness, um, pregnancy complications, lack of communication skills, money getting funny, right?
Mm-hmm.
In and out of school, trying to plant a church, unmarried. That's really rock bottom. And a lot of a lot of that time in the beginning, it was hell in our marriage. But I think what the problem was is both of us were trying to focus on being compatible instead of being complementary to each other. Where can I be strong where you are weak, right? So that the same love we have when we waiting on the bus or we waiting on the train is the same love that we have when we both have vehicles and we have three accounts and there's some level of stability in our life. So I think what happens is I wouldn't say it depends on how you view that. If it's two people that are both on drugs and they are aware that they're both addicted to drugs, I wouldn't call that being compatible. I would call that thriving in confusion. If it's two people who are suffering because life has just hit them and love is keeping them together, that's compatibility. That's complementary. That's complementarity. That is two people learning that where I'm weak, and when you get weak, I can be strong. And when you are strong and I'm weak, then you be strong for me. It's a trade-off. And so that's how I view marriage. So it depends on how you view that. If it's them at the lowest of low because life has hit them, they can be compatible in that season. If they are at the lowest of low because they have made poor decisions, right, and they are being these strange friends, what I call not strange enemies, but they find a connection something negative, then I wouldn't call that compatibility. I call that thriving in confusion.
Mm. Okay. Okay. And I'm with you on that one. That leads me to my next question, right? When we talk about somebody not being able or being able to, let's say, be compatible on rock bottom, but not compatible in your season of success. And I love the breakdown that you gave about being complementary, but and being compatible and the difference between the two. Um, in a situation like that Tim outlined, Toya, or Xavier, either one of y'all, both of y'all can take this question, right? In a situation like that where maybe somebody shares something, right? Something, whatever it may be, whether it's, we both went through the same trauma as a kid. We both may have been on this drug. We both may have whatever it may be, right? But that's what kind of linked you guys together. Um, when people are in seasonal compatibility, or what people may call seasonal compatibility, are these people really are they really compatible for that season, or do you believe that they just share a similar dysfunction?
I personally think that they share a similar, not even the word that you use. I'm gonna say that they shared a similar situation. Everybody's impact and everybody, whatever they went through in life, is completely different. That's marriage, life, parents, siblings, like everything that you go through in life is gonna be completely different from the person that's sitting next to you. Me and my husband, just to bring that per se, um, I was before, and everybody had a relationship before we were married, before we had kids, before we was quote unquote
Right,
compatible, because
right,
we were all different. You understand?
right.
So it's like we all came from a different walk of life. We all came from a different perspective, a different life. Like some people put sugar in a macaroni and cheese, and some people was like, "Hey, why you did that? Like that's not nice." Like
Yo,
you
that
know
sugar,
what?
real quick, that
It's just
sugar in
life.
the
You know what I mean?
spaghetti
And
gotta stop. Sugar and spaghetti gotta stop.
Go
Because
back
that,
home.
you can't
Go
do
back
that.
home.
That's just wrong.
Go
Like
back
I'm just
home. Go
saying.
back home. Go back home.
So when I say that, I say that to say in a sense of my husband and I been together. We've been married for 12 years, and it's like my best, my everything, my world, my heart, my enemy. He's my everything. Like that's what a marriage is. Like that's your enemy, your confidant. That's the person that you competing against. That's the person that you want to like beat. That's the person that you want to just walk away from. And when I say that, it's like you have to also take into perspective that maybe sometimes you're being not matched or being uncompatible with each other is what make y'all stronger as y'all are today. because it's like me, we met each other in the same bottom of the lowest. We were both coming out of toxic ass marriages, toxic ass everything, dealing with addiction, dealing with everything. And it's like, you know what? We found each other, and it's like maybe I was a little bit stronger, or maybe he was a little bit stronger. But it's like my strength made his weakness made me see what I wanted more in life, and then my strength made him want to be better than what it is that he is today. So it's like that's compatibility, and in
Yeah.
my eyes, like
Right.
what you saw me at what I saw at him at his lowest made me want to say I'm never gonna have to deal with that, and I want it more.
Right.
And him seeing me grind as much as I grind made him say, you know what? I want to be on your level. I want a 9 to 5. I want to fucking make this money, and I want to excuse my language. So it's like sometimes compatibility is not even about cupcakes and red velvet. It's like sometimes it's about we're not going to understand it until we're in that situation. We're not going to understand it until we're there. And that's what took us to actually get our relationship where it is now. Because it's like we're there, where it's like, oh my God, if you would have been on the same level, we probably would have not. Because now I would have been arguing that you don't have no time for me. Now I would have been arguing that you don't have this. Like now I would have been arguing because like now we both sitting there grinding like what time we got. So it's like, you know what? God put us and it was compatible. That was the topic of subject. It was compatible. It's like, okay, I'm a slack while you grind. And then it's like, wait, I'm a grind while you slack. And it's like, you know what? We meet in the middle and now we're here and we're there and we're gonna do whatever it is that we have to do to make sure that we're not a statistic. We're not that couple that's like,
That's right.
oh my God, what all your friends is gossiping about, like, oh my God, they're not together no more. Really? Like, we're not gonna be that. We're gonna grind it out, we're gonna fight it out. And that's why I welcome the fights. I welcome the disagreements and I welcome the arguments. And I welcome that on a daily basis because it's like, I need to know you. And the only way to know somebody is through an argument. You ever had an argument with your friend and you're like, yo, bitch, you brought that up? Like, wow, you petty.
Wow,
Like,
you
yo,
dirty. That's how you
exactly.
get.
They bring out the inner deepness in you and they bring out that wow, you really brought that up? Like you're
Right.
whack. Like and then
Right.
you're thinking about it like being whack, but it's like, no,
That person is.
that's just it. And that's what we bring out of each other because it's like, I'm gonna bring it out, he's gonna bring it out, and it's like at the end of the day, he's like, you really had to say that? And I'm like, yeah, I had to say that. Like, let me tell you. And then he had to say what I slack. And it's like only thing that your spouse is saying is the same thing that everybody out there in the streets is saying. Only difference is that they are not compatible with you. So we
That's
don't
right.
even care about their
You
opinion.
know what's so crazy though? That what you said about welcoming arguments, right? When we talk about compatibility, I think that's one of the things that people they try to
Absolutely.
maybe even put on a facade, as if like we don't argue. We just I don't know if y'all ever seen that video with that guy that got caught doing his mess and he was sitting on the couch with his wife and he holding her hand and they and they having that conversation about all the things he got caught doing and he's saying how he turned his life around and
Right.
just basically putting on that facade like we are right, we fine, we this but being able to say like, okay, I welcome the arguments, right, because that's a part of it, right. Struggle is a part of success, right, like it just is, right. One of the things that you said that I thought was funny and Natalie said in our comments, she said like wow, say how you really feel, right. I don't know what it is about a lot of people, right. I've seen this personally where people may not say how they really feel, but let that person get mad. Oh no, 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 no.
It's over.
I'm gonna tell you this, that, the third. Yeah,
Right.
that stuff that happened last week. Yeah, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but the way I'm feeling right now, you need to know about all of this, right? And being like just circling back to the transparency aspect and being yourself, right? When you put all of that stuff on the table, now you allow that other person to either pass the plate or take the plate. Like, you
Right.
know what I'm saying? If you don't put it on the table, how he know that you don't like watching the Lakers play? Like, how she know that you don't like watching Love and Hip Hop?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? I can't get mad because she don't want to watch the Lakers. I just know I got to watch the Lakers in the other room. Like, just like I can't get mad or she can't get mad because I don't want to watch Love and Hip Hop. You just gonna have to watch that in another room, right? But if you don't say nothing, now we can't. Now we operate in silent dysfunction, right? And silent dysfunction is dysfunction nonetheless. Like it's still dysfunction. Like
Silent dysfunction is divorce.
It's not good. It's
Yeah.
not.
Honestly, silent dysfunction is
Yeah.
divorce. Like,
You're going
you
right on. You're
can't.
gonna be
We
right
need
there.
to argue. We need to fight. We need to know what you like and what you dislike. Like,
Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody goes through
and
that.
that's just it.
Oh.
If you're being a certain way, like, I can't be that kind of person. Friends, like, especially in my marriage, like, I need to know. And this is why I'm not saying that anybody else's marriage or is an understatement, but my marriage, I know that what we've been through, and I'm sure that probably nobody else have ever experienced, but I needed to be myself. I needed you to love me, and I needed me to know that I can love you, and I needed whatever we compromise with each other, because you always compromise in a marriage. You always compromise. You always do something that you're like telling your girls on the phone, like, I can't believe I just did that shit. Like, oh my god, he made me so mad. And I just sat there. But that's what marriage is about. And in order for your
Yeah.
marriage to work,
You gotta go
the
through stuff.
first thing that you need to have is somebody that makes you laugh. Because laughter heals all wounds. And that's the God's honest truth. Like, I need to laugh. I need you to come home and I'm sitting here with these babies and these newborns. I need you to make me laugh. I need you to say something stupid that I'm going to laugh at. And then after that, I want to argue. And it just, that's what, when the word of compatibility comes to me, that's what I see. I see my husband coming home and I'm stressed and I'm mad and I'm angry because of school, because of work, because of friends, because of everything. And you're just going to say something stupid that's going to make me laugh. That's compatibility, because you knew I needed to like smile at that moment. Like,
right,
that's compatibility. It's not about peaches and creams, ups and down all the time. Like, nobody has that. Because if that was to happen, guess what? That would be incest. That means we were dating our clone, and that's nasty.
right.
That
Now,
That's
look,
different.
look,
That's different.
Toya,
ass, like, that's
Toya,
nasty. Like, I don't want to date my clone. Like,
No, ain't nobody
ew.
else
Toya,
see
let
it
me
that
ask
way.
you this
It's
question,
We're
different.
not
right?
the same, but we
Real,
gotta
real
make
quick,
it
Toya.
be in the middle.
Let me ask you this question, Toya. So,
You can't be
when we
compatible with
talk
nobody.
about
It's
welcoming
just like
new
few
things,
things.
Right?
just
Give me
from
this, baby. Go
Nobody's the
back to
same.
it.
Nobody's the same.
oh, come
You
on,
can't.
PG-13.
Come on, let me get you this up for
So, when we talk about welcoming certain things, right, into your situation because you understand that ultimately it'll make you better, right? And then ultimately trying to be the best version of yourself and coming together, right? One of the things that the speaker in this video talked about was people sacrificing their mental health for the sake of relationships, and how your mental health should not be payment for whatever your situation is. How do you feel about that, Toya?
When I say that your mental health should not be payment for your situation,
Mm-hmm.
the way I feel about that, I feel as though you are now, mental health should not even come into play when it comes to marriage, even friendships, like, let alone relationship, let alone marriages. Like, we talk too much about marriages, and there's people that's not even married. Like, let's just talk about indirectly. Like, let's just talk about friendships. Let's talk about boyfriend and girlfriend. Let's talk about, because there's a lot of those out there. There's a lot of, when I say your mental health should not be affected, it's because you're allowing certain people to occupy space that should not be occupied without paying that type of rent. And that don't mean money. That means being there. That means stability. That means equality. That means like freaking just in general. That means like you're not gonna come into my space and like interrupt what I'm going through
Mm-hmm.
because of what you're going through. If
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna go through it together, let's go through it together. Let's, like, whatever you're going through, I'm gonna go through that, and we're gonna sit there and talk, and we're gonna even probably have a cocktail. But I can't say that in front of Trey. You know, he's trying to be a pastor. But like, we're gonna just like sit there and like we're gonna do that. But what you're not gonna do is make me feel like I'm crazy. Don't make me feel like I'm crazy because that's the worst thing to do to somebody, especially. I think everybody that walks on God's green earth has some form of mental issues. We all, whether it's at the top of the hierarchy or whether it's like minimum, whether it needs medication, whether everybody has mental issues that we all go through on a daily basis. Like we all sit there and we fight ourselves and we sit there and we think like, did I say that? Like, okay, now look at the way you're looking at me. Oh my God, you saw that? Oh, so you didn't put your leg on me tonight. So that means that we beefing? Like, you fight yourself. And it's like, my nigga, like, I'm drunk. Like, I didn't put my leg on you because I'm drunk. And you're fighting yourself. Like, no, you didn't put your leg on me. Normally, you put your leg on me. Oh, so you don't want me? Your leg on me. Like, we tend to like fight each other.
Yeah.
Like and like we before we fight each other, we fight ourselves because we're thinking something that we think that they think, and then it's like everybody's just thinking something that nobody's thinking, and everybody probably just want to go to sleep because it's like 12
No.
a.m. and it's like what the hell? Like I'm just tired. Like what is going on?
Right. You gotta
And
take care of that.
I think that when it comes to mental health, I think that majority of the mental health issues that we have amongst ourselves come from ourselves. We tend to mess our own head up. Seriously, we tend to like sit there and like think and like, oh, so you saw this one walk by, now you want to sit there like, oh, so now you want to sit there like gonna get. Mind you, my husband always goes and pays for the gas, and I saw somebody with a banging body, and I'm like, now he's like, oh, give me the money, let me go pay, and I'm like, oh, you want to go pay for the gas now? Like, she went in there, and it's like, that's what mental health, like
Love this girl. Love her.
Listen,
seriously, like
listen.
you're fighting
That
yourself.
is so hilarious. I just saw a TikTok the other day when it was like when you trying to go to the store, but you just got a fresh haircut, and the guy like, all right, babe, I'm going to the store, and then he turned around. As soon as he turned around, she was right in front of him. She was like, "Oh, where you going? No,
right. What's happening? We
He was
pulling up
like,
together.
Exactly.
we going
My
together,
husband's like
right?"
hitting my leg, like stop. My husband like sat there, like a bunch of people told him that. Oh my God, you look like Superfly, and I'm like, let them gas your head, cause now we're gonna fight. But it's like you know what? That's mental health. Like don't tell my husband that. Unless you're gonna tell me I look like Cardi B or Beyonce, you can't tell me look like Superfly, cause then he was walking around like.
Toya, it was just the haircut that I had.
Let me cut this.
Yo,
Let
it
me
was
cut
just,
this.
really?
Let me
No.
cut this. And it's like, oh, you think you super fly, Spanish
No,
fly?
I really did look like a superfly that day.
Listen,
No, the old school one though, the new
well,
school one.
look. So real quick, right? I got one more question or two more questions, right, before we head out, right? Because I don't want to keep the people too long, right? Two more questions, right? One question, Dominic. I gotta ask you this: how important is it that we as people, we look at ourselves and we identify what our calling is in life? Like how important is when we talk about being compatible with somebody else, how important is it that we identify with that calling, that end goal, that our purpose or whatever it is that we want to do right in life? How important is it that we identify that?
All right. So, okay. So, honestly, I don't think it's that important. And the reason why I say that part of it is not important as far as like your calling, your purpose, whatever you feel like you're called to do, is because most of the time we don't know it until like way on. Like, what if that's not revealed to you just yet? Like, you can think you know what your calling is, you can think you know what your purpose is because you like to do something, but like, we didn't create our stories. Like, we feel like we create our stories, but our stories are pretty much already written, done deal, signed off, sent to the press. We're just kind of walking into it. So I would say that I don't necessarily think that part is important. I think it is, like Latoya said, I think it is very important for us to really start to identify with the things that we like as just human beings, as just natural beings. So
Yeah.
I like to, I like romance. Like I grew up with movies. My mom had me watching Disney Channel all my life, Disney movies all my life. So I didn't get like BET. I didn't get none of that. So for me, it was Disney. So for me, love looked like a certain thing. Just like anybody, love looks like a certain thing. Whether it's how your mom treated your dad, how how this your auntie treated your uncle. You have some picture of what you feel like love is from a very young age or whatever age you're introduced to it. And that eventually changes because life hits. Like, I
Mhm.
had to come to realize, like, I'm not a Disney princess. Like, that's just, I'm not her. Like, I'm not Cinderella. I'm not Pocahontas. I'm not none of those people. Like, I'm definitely me. So I think that having a calling or purpose, everyone has it. I don't think it's important as far as knowing it when it comes to
Mhm.
marriage, because I think one thing that we do when it comes to marriage is we feel like we have to have it all together before we get into a marriage, because we have to, we got to be set and they have to be set for this thing to work. And like, you fall on hard times. Like, you've seen millionaires literally not have anything after a while, and now you gotta deal with nothing. Like, you have to deal with the fact that you are broke. You have to deal with the fact that you are homeless. You have to deal with the fact that you have no food, and then we see people that are homeless that go straight to the top. One little viral video, now all of a sudden you got all the girls flooding your DM, and you got all the boys trying to get with you, and that's a different type of attention that you may not be used to. And you have to deal with that too. So I think
Yeah.
that um I told Trey before, I told him when we were talking about this a little bit before, was that when I look at compatibility, I look past if we can talk at the same time. If you yelling and I'm screaming, we're not compatible. Like, I don't look at it like that. To me, it's more of a moral thing. I need to know if you are patient enough to deal with me. I need to know if you have a heart that's willing to kind of go with me through the changes. And I feel like that's what makes you compatible with me. I think what makes someone compatible is, I go back to that chef. I go back to the food on the plate, right? If I have chicken, if I have a wine, if I have some bread, what I realize about all of those things when the chef puts it all together is the fact that everything everything is its own, but everything highlights each other. So
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
that wine is highlighting the flavor of that chicken, and that bread
Mhm.
is highlighting the texture of these vegetables. Like, everything is really highlighting each other. And when I think of compatibility, it's never
Bien.
conflict to the point where I
Vamos de
have to
nuevo.
beat you or you have to beat me, or I'm over here and you over here. But it's literally someone bringing the best out of you, and vice versa, someone doing the same for me, and us growing in just that. Because as a person, like Latoya said, I literally talk to people all day. I have a mental health credentialed up. Every person on this planet has mental issues. We all got it. We all got something. Now, some may be some may not be as severe, but we all have mental issues, overthinking. We bring our trauma and our past into our marriages sometimes. You do a lot. Like, there's a lot of things in this mind, because I believe that the mind is really a war. Like, when you have a made up mind, you really going somewhere. So the battle really is in the mind. Like, when you decide to commit to something, that's a decision in your
Yeah.
mind. That
Yeah.
wasn't just emotions. Like, that was your mind logically, like, okay, I done weighed out the pros, I done felt all the emotions. Now this is the decision that I'm making.
Exactly.
So so your mind is a big thing. So I think that compatibility and what you're asking about the calling, I mean, that's all important, because eventually you want to have somebody that can grow with you. But I think I gotta go to the Bible, right? Like, I'm just thinking about, like, David. Like, David started at the bottom. Like, you at the lowest of the low, and now you the king. You the
Right.
king. Like, somebody, if I'm following you from David, like, if I'm your friend David from the beginning to the end, there's a lot of changes that I get to see.
Mhm.
I get to see the murdering. I get to see a lot of changes, and that happens in all of us. We get to see so many changes. We get to see the lowest of lows. We get to see the highs. We get to see the confused. We get to see the when you
I mean,
cheated.
but
We get to
at,
see when you were addicted. We get to see all of that. And I think the compatibility part is, again, just being able to not let someone live in their dysfunction. Because I saw Natalie said that, we need to identify dysfunction, because if you are an addict, you are living in dysfunction. There is something that you're dependent to, that you are that is negatively hurting you. So that is dysfunction. That is definitely dysfunction. It feels like function to you and it feels normal, but it's definitely dysfunction. So you want to identify those things and then help them grow in that. So
Mhm.
that's just how I feel. I don't think the calling part is more important. I think there's a moral behind it. Like, you got to have patience. You got to have longevity, endurance. Like, those are things that I feel like you need.
Go ahead, Tim.
Let me say this before Latoya says something. I just want to chime in on what Dominique said because I want to clarify something said earlier. And it's important that because me and my wife are champions of, in every marriage, the word divorce comes up. It has come up either early on. It's going to come up. Uh,
Natalie.
Oh, so you was in
hey,
my
yo,
room today. You was
is that
there,
your
Tim.
grandma, bro, or your mom?
Oh,
She is.
that's my
She got
auntie.
me dying in the comment section. That's your auntie?
Yeah.
Oh, she got me. Miss Natalie, you are like the truth.
Yes. Yes,
Bless you. No, I think it's important that it comes to a place where you have to stop using that word when you grow. Look at that love. Look at that love. Look at all that love. Look at all that love. Um, and
No,
then it
she's
comes
so
to a point
nasty.
that, yeah, hey, bro,
No, she's nasty.
Hey,
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 listen. It's
This
PG
is
get with
listen,
super
it. Get
nasty.
with it.
hey, listen. Most women are nastier than the man. Trust me. Don't let
Dominique,
these
put
wives
your
fool
hands
you.
up, Dominique. Put your hands up.
No, but look.
You're not Dominique. You're super fly, Spanish fly. Ay.
Hey, Portuguese fly. That's African
But
fly.
Come on,
Oh,
let's finish
African fly
Dominique's
listen,
nasty.
Go
poll.
ahead,
I'm
Tim.
ready.
Go
I'm
ahead,
ready.
Tim.
I want to hear you.
Look, y'all gonna mess up Tim's train of
and they
thought.
kill me.
I just
No, they killing me. They kill because what it made me think women dirty. But anyway, let me say this though. That's my homegirl Shaka. Her brother, they knew each other. Well, we married. No. In all truth, when you see a person like my wife has had a past of addiction, that was not a time for me to be judgmental of her, but that was a time for me to be supportive and to love a person even when people are in denial of their problems. And remember that denial is a defense mechanism that people use to cope because they don't want to face the trauma and pain of what's really going on. I tell people all the time, if you see somebody dealing with any type of problem, and addiction can be eating, it can be an eating addiction, right? Emotional eaters, that's just what I call tertiary or secondary problem. The root may be anger, rejection
Right.
from family, mama and daddy issues. You got some people when they have kids, they forget to date one another. So when the kids come into the picture, they lose a sense of themselves. They forget what made them fall in love. You stop seeing the man, touch the woman on her butt, or touch her booty, or the woman grab a man in his pants. Just things that they used to do. They lose that fire. They
Right.
lose that passion, right? And a lot of times those things take place. And what we have to do is we have to go back to the drawing board and we have to date each other. We have to go back to the drawing board and we got to ask those no good family members that ask us for everything. Hey, you watch the kids tonight?
Right.
Because we got to go out. We need some us time, right? We need time to be nasty. We need time to be freaks. We need time
Right.
to encourage each other. We need time to make each other feel special. You need
Mm-hmm.
that when you are married.
In marriage,
You
right?
have to fulfill you in marriage. You have to fulfill those fantasies for one another. You need that,
That is a
and I'm not just
lie.
talking.
That is the devil. La cruz, la cruz. No, no,
Oh,
no,
I don't know
baby.
what you said,
No,
but I felt
baby.
the
I have an
power.
African. We're not doing that. We will not. I'm sorry. Love you to death. I want to do another podcast with you, but say that when you have an African man that's looking at you when you get out of the shower like a pit bull. No, baby, no.
who the hell you calling? Yo, who you calling people?
Mama, first of all, I
Wait,
just want to say,
So you
you
Auntie
guys calling
Natalie, let me
people.
tell you something
you
about Auntie
said?
Natalie.
Did
She'll
you
talk
say
about
look at
some
you like a?
children.
Oh
You
my
Yeah.
just calling
goodness!
people. Yeah, you see what I mean when I
Let me
say she
tell you
crazy?
something.
She calling me pitbull now.
Let me
I
tell you
don't
something.
even looking, but you know what? The way
When
she
you
come
love
out of the
that
shower is
woman,
crazy. So you have
listen,
to.
No.
listen. When you are in love with that woman, and you see that woman, right? I'm talking about naked with clothes on. Sometimes I'm staring at my wife, right? You just find yourself staring at that person,
That's
right?
creepy.
No, it's not.
And
It's part of the love. It's part of the
She
love, part
play
of the
too much.
relationship. Listen,
Toya, I'm gonna
I
mute
be
you.
I'm
yo,
just trying
understand.
to make his podcast live.
No,
I'm
wait,
just
wait, wait.
laughing. I want
Nah.
everybody to
she
laugh, but I
is
get you.
See,
I get you,
hilarious.
Tim. We are here. My four eyes
No,
is
no,
to
no.
her
We
two
no,
eyes.
no. Here, let me tell. Let me. The reason why that man stare at you like that is because it's not just how beautiful you are to him, but it's everything about you. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and you got to realize that it's even in those. You said something to earlier. When you can love somebody at their lowest, yo, we don't use that divorce word no more
Yeah.
because we've already been to the point where we've been in a divorce 4 times, and we
Yeah.
I can't see on my fingers, but and we made it past that place, right? So there's nothing else that we can encounter,
Yeah.
right? That can tell us we're not gonna make. We're gonna make it. Because 2003, I don't know when anybody else met, but 2009 she broke you, 2012, 2008, 1990, 1950. It's a lot of things should have broke people, but they overcame it. But I
Yeah.
say the main thing is don't live in denial. Get you some after marriage counseling. I know people talk about premarital counseling, but you need to get you some marriage mentors. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with going to a Denny's or IHOP and going to Jason Dr. Kent taught me this. Going to IHOP and finding the oldest couple in there and
I mean,
asking,
I
just
think that
start.
we are the mentor. I think that we are the argument. I think honestly, in our marriage, I'm like the argumentative one, and I just like I want to argue and I want to fight because it's like you know what? When I get that argument and I get that fight, I get to know what you're feeling, and I get to know the best type of therapeutic conversation is an argument because it's like now, oh, that's how you felt. Whether it hurts, it don't hurt. Like you get to get in depth of what that person is feeling when you're mad. And you're like, hold on.
You see, Tim,
All
Tim,
I
Tim.
did was that.
No,
Like,
Tim. You know what's so
that's
funny?
what you need, though.
I had to learn my wife to the point where
After
That's right.
anytime
12 years?
any no, not 12 years. I did learn you a while ago. So to the point, anytime like she's like on that kind of level, I be myself. I know we
That's
don't go
right.
that far.
I
We
feel
don't
you,
go
bro.
that far no
Yes,
more.
sir.
So I be on my
Yes,
level,
sir.
and
And then I was like, you
I
know
don't
what?
argue.
Only reason I did that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this podcast because I'm very, as blunt as I am, I'm a very quiet, I'm scary
She don't
person. I was
talk.
like, oh my God. I told my husband, I'm like, this is for my this is for my best friend. This is for Trey. I
This
am
is for
going to
Trey,
get on
Trey,
this
Trey.
camera. Like that's it. And then he was like, "You're gonna get on camera," and then he couldn't like clock out. And I was like, "You know what? If you're gonna leave me by myself, I'm gonna do it by myself. I don't know what couples are gonna be there. They probably jump me in the Bronx train station, but I'm ready for this."
Never jump you in the Bronx, girl. We from Brooklyn.
Listen,
We
listen.
ain't jump you.
What
But then I
what
was
I
like, you know
love
what?
so much,
It was
I
good.
love
I
so much
loved it.
because
No, for real, man.
I
They're good
knew you
people.
was
They
gonna hold
are.
it down for
Good
me.
people.
I
I
love
know
you
you
guys,
got me.
Dominique. You and Tim. Y'all gonna.
Listen, I knew you was
Timothy,
gonna come on here and
Timothy.
show out, Toya. That I knew. I knew you was gonna come on here and show out, and that's what I wanted. So
Yo, they
No,
got
but
me
hey,
with the
yo, you see
choke,
Timothy,
dog.
Timothy. No, he know good food.
I know, Trey. I'm always laughing.
wait, real quick, right? So
Yeah.
before we head out, right? Because I don't want to hold these people for the rest of their night, right? We were supposed to be off at 9, but we started a little late, so we wound up going a little over. And now, now the conversation has shifted from compatibility to how to stay married and how to keep them happy.
That's part
And
of compatibility.
look, right, a
Part
compatibility
three.
after
Oh Lord.
compatibility. Listen, here we go. Listen, so I do have a few announcements, right? But I'm gonna give my panelists some time to give you guys their last thoughts on the topic. So I'll just go around the room. Tim, I'll start with you. Do you have anything for our viewers before we
That's
head
how you
out?
want it. Give it to him.
No, man. Only thing I want to say is I like how real this conversation was. Um, I like the fact that
That's Tim talking.
I want to say it with the accent, but Rosas, right?
Yeah.
How they were, how everybody's so transparent, bro.
Yeah.
Couples of color, from the Latino, Latina, and Black and Brown communities, we have to be transparent about what's going on. This is group therapy. This is how we heal. This is how we talk about things in life, whether you have a Christian background, non-Christian background. I'm talking about marriage in and of itself, no matter what you believe about faith, or about life.
Just go. I'm coming.
Nobody has a manual how whose marriage works in what way. It's not our job to pick and choose and try to guess, but I'm a champion for marriage.
Mhm.
I believe that people ought to press their way through, see it all the way to the end, um, And like my father always say, Tim, do you know you my best friend? You know, she always asks me that. And I said, of course. I know I'm your best friend because without me, you ain't nothing. No, I'm playing. I'm playing. I'm playing. I'm just glad that to meet y'all, man. And I appreciate you, Trey, for the opportunity for me and my wife to come here and just share.
Definitely, definitely. And I knew y'all was gonna bring the real. So Xavier, I don't see Toya. So you got anything for our viewers? Oh, there y'all go. Y'all got anything for our viewers concerning the topic that y'all want to leave our viewers with before we head out?
What you got, baby girl? ¿Qué tú tienes? ¿Qué tú tienes? El Trey que está hablando. Que necesita una ayuda ahí.
Aquí yo estaba hablando. I'm not going to even speak in Spanish because guess what? This is Trey's blog. But what I am going to say is that anything to the viewers, tune in to next week. My brother's Trey's.
And
His
you
podcast
got,
is like, no, we don't even need kids in here.
You
Like,
got-
that's just abuse. That's ACS. Move. Anyways, as I was saying, I think that we're always laughing. I think that, like, honestly, I think that every week, every Tuesday, that everyone in America, I'll even include Afghanistan, but everyone should like tune in to my brother Trey's blog in his podcast because we have real ass conversations. And if you ever want to laugh, just invite Toya and Xavier and um don't tell me your name.
Timmy!
Tim and
Timothy.
Dominique. Tim and Dominique.
Timothy.
If you ever want to laugh, have Tim,
It's
Dominique,
Timothy. It's
Toya.
not Timmy. It's
No,
Timothy.
it's Tim.
No, Timothy.
Oh my god, why you always want to abbreviate somebody's name?
Because that's his name. It's
No,
Timothy.
like I want to say the whole thing.
All right, y'all.
You know how you
Alright,
say
but
the whole
like,
thing. You
what
said
is
Listen,
Tim.
listen.
Anyways, like I said,
Timothy.
All
You
right,
gotta say
I
Timothy.
no,
can't.
but
That's
I
the longer
want
version.
to.
I can't
The
no
shorter
more.
version
I
is
can't.
Tim. The longer version is Timothy.
Anyways,
Timothy.
All right.
people, tune into next week. We will sure to show up, and we will make everybody laugh. My best friend, my brother Trey, he's going to give you guys an amazing time. Me and my husband, the Rosas, we will tune in, and I'm sure you guys will tune in too. Bye, guys. Love
All right.
you.
By the way,
So,
I'm fired because I left
Dominique,
work.
you got anything for our viewers before we head out?
That's
Yo,
just us. I love
Trey.
you guys. Trey, call me.
All right.
How do I hang up?
You gotta do it.
I don't know.
Trey gotta do it.
Okay, help me, God. All right, my last words because that was priceless. Priceless. My last words. I think I saw something in the comment. I think it was. I don't want to say this wrong. Devon or Davon. But he had wrote, if I'm not mistaken, it was something about like if you're a plug. I wish I could go back to that comment. Let me see if I can find it. He has said something about like if a USB can't fit into a certain port, pretty much like if you're a plug and you can't fit into this or you can't fit into that, it's not gonna work. You're not compatible. And just two things. Toya said it beautiful, so beautiful. The first thing is we have been taught, I think, for a very long time through different things, for a long time to not truly be ourselves. And when I say be yourselves, meaning like whatever that comes, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, wherever that may be, you be that. Because when you start to see and people start to see that you are that USB, you know, that you are Apple iPhone, that you are Android, whatever you may be, it allows the right type of people to be attracted to you. That thing that can be compatible will be attracted to you versus you putting up something that you are not. And then the thing that is attracted to you is not that they wrong, it's just that you put up such a different image. So now the wrong thing is attracted. So be who you are, like be that. And I know it takes some time to get to that point because it took me a while to get to that point. But when you do get to that point, just be yourself. Be so unapologetically you, so that person or whatever can be compatible to you. And two, just for those that are married or thinking about marriage or contemplating they're with a boyfriend or girlfriend, the main thing that I would say is do not think that you have to be perfect to get married. Do not think that when you get married, everything is going to be perfect and y'all going to be the best thing ever and stuff like that. Like, life still hits even when you get married. Life still hits after marriage, before marriage, during the wedding ceremony. Like, it just hit. Life is hitting you. And just find somebody that can continue to be strong with you and walk with you along those paths. But I think that, and talk about everything. That's another thing. Talk about every single thing.
Hey, babe,
Yes.
and tell people, they need to have married couple friends who can hold them accountable. Y'all do that for
Absolutely.
each other. You
Absolutely.
gotta hold, like, my God, you gotta have people in your life.
Yeah.
I don't care if they've
Yeah.
been married longer than you, shorter than you. I don't get
Right.
all that crap. You need some people in your life that can say, "Hey, look, you talk to your wife wrong. You talking to your husband wrong. You going down the wrong path. This ain't right." And you ain't gotta go to the look. You can talk to some of your
What?
sisters can talk to homegirls that are married and just be straight and be like, "Look, I'm telling you, you ain't gotta go to their husband and tell them. Be honest. Speak to them because we can do this by ourselves, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
It
can't
take a
do
village.
in life. You learning from one another. As a pastor, I preach to people every week, and I'm learning from the people I'm preaching from every week. They, Pastor Trey, you notice they teach you in seminary.
Come on, Pastor Trey.
Don't just exegete the Bible, but exegete the pew,
Mm,
right? Exegete the pew. You can't just break down the text. Break down your congregation. You got to get to know people.
yeah.
And my church is learning from me, not just learning from what I'm preaching, but learning things about me and helping me. So I'm glad that me and Damo have people in our life that can speak to us honestly and give us wisdom. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say that, babe.
And
That's
talk.
amazing. That's amazing. I just want to say real quick. I don't want to misrepresent myself. I am not a pastor.
Pastor Trey, stop playing.
Just
Come on, Bishop.
whatever the Lord has, we'll see in the future. But as of right now, that is not me. I'm just a voice in the wilderness, right? I'm not the leader of the flock. But I had such a great time in this episode. I thought it was so
Yes.
fun, so transparent, just like it was this one I know for a fact this one is gonna this one was it. I had so much fun. I learned so much. Compatibility, right? It is what you make it. Be transparent. And like Tim said earlier, this and all of us said earlier, there's no perfect sit, like nobody can say this will work for you, this will work for you, this will work for you. You got, like, you know what I'm saying? We can always give advice, but only what you're compatible with. So take your time, do your homework. Last but not least, like, I think this is a shirt for all married people, right? When y'all get into the situations, you got a problem, you
Right.
got to try Jesus, don't try
Right.
me,
Go talk
right?
to him.
Yeah, go try Jesus. Don't try me, right? And like I told you guys at the beginning of the episode, we do have a Facebook shop open now. You guys
Woo.
can go get your Better Me, a Better We t-shirts. If you're in a nice area, or if you want to wear it under your jacket, you guys can go get sweaters, hoodies. Sweatsuits will be available soon. We have some holiday things, themed stuff coming out.
I'm ready.
You guys will see dropping soon. Also, I want to drop this news on you guys. Next week, episode number 30 will be the season finale for
Oh,
the podcast, right? So you guys will not see us until the new year. So episode 30 will be the season finale. But you guys will still see me. You guys will still, I'm gonna be around, right? I'm gonna be around. You guys will see my face a lot, as well as the apparel a lot. But a Better We Apparel.com. You guys can pick up stuff like this. We have a few more designs that's going to be dropping soon. So make sure, when you go on the website, you hit that email list, put your email in there, so we can make sure we let you know. You're the first to know when the sales drop, because I know y'all ladies big on sales. When the sales drop, when the new apparel is dropping, new designs and things of that sort, right? So that wraps up A Better Me Equals a Better We, episode number 29. I had so much fun tonight. This episode was nothing short of amazing. I will see you guys next Tuesday at 8 p.m. for the season finale. You guys have a great night, and do not forget that a better me equals a better we. I will see you guys next week.